And my final thoughts? My final thoughts may have changed a little bit upon second viewing of the movie. Let's discuss the figure a little more, talk about that movie in a sort of spoilery review, and talk about possible future figures we might get in this line and others. Alright gang, here are my Guardians of the Coffee. Do check out my Instagram for all my Guardians of the Coffee pics. We still have on the review desk the Godzilla the Ride figure, which is the precursor to Godzilla Minus One, and as far as this design goes. I did film the reason why it's still here is I filmed this last, and I filmed it while I was editing. I got to the part of all the size comparisons. I'm like, oh, I forgot to include this figure, and I really wanted to, so I came back and did that. So I saw Godzilla Minus One a second time. Now, the first time I saw it at the Japan Society, which was fantastic. It was like, an early screening. There's been a lot of them. This was a special early screening because it was before the official fan screenings, as they call them, fan early screenings. So that was cool. Got to see it with my pal Ray of Muteki Sales, which was fantastic. They also had a figure there, the prototype figure of this, which I had seen already at New York Comic Con, which you may have seen all my pics or my video of in there. That figure was different than this, right? For sure. Now, I just reviewed this figure, massively long review, so I don't want this to be super long, but whatever it is, it is. I do want to talk about this a little more because I did just see this again today with Ultrazilla Jr., who originally, funny enough, I had tickets to see it for last night when the review went up, and then, no, I'm sorry, for Thursday night, and then I, realized, oh, I teach a class on Thursday nights, and that was silly. So I had to cancel those tickets, and then I was like, you know what? It's probably better that happened because I probably should see the movie first on my own, because, I wasn't sure how this movie was going to go, if it was going to be okay for kids. There's various levels of what okay for kids is, right? There's things in this movie that Ultrazilla Jr. is not going to really get or understand completely, though he understands a ton. I mean, he's not like a baby, but there's still some stuff that probably, he'll gloss over and not think about until he's a little bit older, and that's good. But there's plenty here to like, for him. His overall review was, though, that he found it a bit boring. I figured that would happen. But he liked it more than Shin Godzilla. And you know what? I liked it more than Shin Godzilla as well. There's just a lot more to like here. I feel like the characters in total, and like I said, guys, I'm not gonna say it any more than this, and although I might. There's spoilers ahead. I don't know when and where the spoilers will come up. I'm just gonna be talking, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, maybe don't watch this, come back to it after and, chat with us. But, there's stuff about it that he did like. He thought a lot of the action scenes were great. He loved the Shinden plane. He thought that was really cool. And, a lot of that also has to do with Godzilla Minus One now and the Shinden about to appear in Godzilla Battle Line, which we both enjoy playing. If you're ever online and you're playing the game and you see Ultrazilla come up, it's either me or Ultrazilla Jr. We play at the same time, here and there. So it is what it is. You might be facing me, you might be facing Ultrazilla Jr. If Chibi Godzilla is in the team, chances are it's Ultrazilla Jr. But we saw it again. I saw it again. I saw it the first time the other day. And, most of my opinion on this figure was based on that viewing. And in my review, I really made it clear because, there's a lot of people that are coming out, that had come out against this figure beforehand. And, I feel like some of it is warranted, depending on how they feel about the paint and how theirs turned out, and some of it is just like, you know, based on something that's really not a part of the movie as much as you would think. There is this idea that this figure is way more saturated in color, in paint, is a lot lighter like the prototype. The prototype, I'm gonna say it, and I said it in the review, is kind of wrong. It was, well, let me preface that by saying kinda, okay? I said kinda. It creates a false sense of what Godzilla looks like in the movie. This is a lot closer to what Godzilla looks like in the movie. He is very dark. And the reason why he comes out lighter in times is because he is very tall and blasted out by the sun. The prototype, both times I saw it, and I mentioned this in the review, were very super lit from overhead. Like, extremely overlit. So, that prototype, you know, might have been different than the original shooting version of it that they created all the proto images of. And I feel like the final one is closer to, you know, what we see on screen. And since I came back from the movies earlier today, I've been sitting with this figure even longer. And I you know what? You know, since I've got it the other day, I've been just looking at it and marveling over it. I really like this figure. I think it's very, very well done. You know, like, the sculpt is awesome. I don't think there's much off here. I don't think the feet are too big. I don't think the head is too small, which is what I hear some folks saying. I just don't see it. But I think it's pretty good. The paint, you know, again, mileage is going to vary based on yours. We already discussed the review and what I thought about, you know, various areas, but I gotta tell you, upon second viewing, it's just bothering me less. The stuff here is just bothering me less. Call it like bias based on watching the movie and just wanting to love this figure more. It's possible, but that's totally fine. Because, you know what? I'm a human being. And we get emotionally attached to things. And for various reasons. The love of that movie and the design in that movie is making me love this figure right now even more. And I do think this figure is a lot closer to the screen than we're given credit for. I said this already, and I do believe that is the fact. I'm going to move this guy out of the way because I feel like, you know, the focus is getting taken away from him as far as the camera goes. But I do like it a lot. I think it's very cool. And definitely the sculpt is excellent, but the scenes that look like the prototype, again, just want to stress this. Second viewing, I was able to see it, and I also was sitting in a different spot. I was sitting dead set in the middle on first viewing. At this theater, I was sitting more off to the left, you know, on an aisle seat, because whenever I go to the movies with Ultrazilla Jr., we sit on the aisle, just so we could, you know, run to the bathroom if we have to. Which we did have to at this point. Luckily, I knew exactly where all the good scenes were, so it was perfect. So, you know, seeing it from like a different angle just helps. You know, like sitting at a different angle, looking at things at different angles. Totally different screen too. This was a Regal theater, and the screens are a little bit better than the ones at the Japanese Society, so it was crisper. It looked good. I didn't see it in an IMAX, you know, or you know, Regal has the RPX theaters. I feel like those are a little bit overpriced, to be honest. But the screens are very good and the sound is very good. The sound is incredible in this movie, honestly, so good. But, you know, having seen this again, you know, and not having to pay attention to anything but what I wanted to pay attention to this time, because I already saw it once, I just looked at the way this thing looked the entire time. And it is dark. The figure, the design, the colors are dark, and the only reason it's lighter in scenes is it is coming from the sun. The sun is blasting it out. So in certain angles and certain, you know, shots, it looks lighter, and that is because of the sun. And again, it goes back to the lighting and the way it's lit by Tamashii at shows, right? It's the same exact thing. That figure is probably darker. It makes all more sense that the figure is dark there as well and then overlit, rather than them changing the plastic. And that's where I'm differing a little bit from my review already, because I have a feeling that's what's going on more. And I say this only because seeing the movie again makes me realize the actual design is dark, and it is overlit in certain shots. But the base design is dark, and yes, you see all of these splotches really, really popping out. Now, again, whether your, thought process of this is, it's still sloppy or whatever, that's fine. You could think whatever you want about your figure, and, if you feel like you think about that about my figure, that's your prerogative. But, know this. The figure, for me, in hand, when I look at it, I'm really, really liking it. It is a very cool figure, and again, watching the movie again just makes me appreciate it even more. So I really dig it. I think it's awesome. I still do feel like the neck piece is the one problem area where it got a little bit too saturated and not blended quite right. Everything else, I don't really have a problem with. I really, really like it, like the toenails on the bottom aren't painted fully through, but who cares? It's on the bottom. Like, who cares? But yeah, I do think this is a very cool figure, and definitely enhanced for me by a second viewing. This is very prominent. It's very prominent in the movie. I don't see how... I don't know. I think it's done well, I really do. I think his head is done well. I think that scar is done well on his face. It's cool. Could the sculpt be different? Maybe, but you don't know how many things they're going to use this mold for and what they're going to change. So let's talk about that. Obviously, we're going to get a heat ray version of this. That's a no-brainer. Giant heat ray, lit up. I think it's going to look really cool. I would love for them to be able to do something with the dorsal fins, popping them more out. Like, we got this one that moves, but popping them more out would be slick. I doubt it's going to happen, but I think it'd be cool if it did. Again, I don't want to keep harping on this, but spoilers ahead. This is first form, his initial form. That is a fantastic design. There is a Movie Monster Series figure coming out. I haven't even covered that on the, Ultra Z News yet, and I will tomorrow. But there's a Movie Monster Series figure coming out, and that looks cool, but I do want an SH Monster Arts of that. I don't know if it would be a small figure or what, but maybe a small figure, the size of Junior would work fine. It's probably even smaller than this in actuality, but I'd be fine with this size of a figure for a first form, just to have it. It doesn't have to be accurate to me. I don't harp on accuracy when it comes to scale. I don't care about that much. And I've said plenty about the look of the figure. If I really like how the figure looks when it's a figure, that's all you got to do for me. Make me happy with a figure. I am not a slave to accuracy. That's just not my jam, and it's never been. But give us a figure of the first form, and I'd be really happy. Give us a figure of the lit up form. I think that would be awesome, and that I feel like maybe you can make lighter. Maybe make a very light figure to make all the folks happy that are customizing this figure into that lighter looking version, which is in the trailer more, but not in the movie more than the version that we see here, which is hysterical to me. You definitely see a darker Godzilla in the movie more than a lighter Godzilla. It's just, now that I've seen it twice, I could definitely see what's going on there. And yeah, so give us a lighter form. Why not? You could do it. It's easy to do. Just put more, of this paint all over it, and sure you'd make a lot of folks happy, Tamashii. Now, the final thing, and again, spoilers, I want to see a final scene Godzilla with a little mini Shinden to toss into his mouth. You know what I'm saying? Like, give us that form of Godzilla. Yes, you'd have to do some remolding. You'd have to add some parts to it because, yeah, that form of Godzilla at the end is a mess. A real mess. He is a hot mess throughout the movie. There's no doubt about it. I don't want to, you know, I can't, I'm not going to sit here arguing with everybody that wants to disagree with me. You know, like, he's a hot mess in the movie, but he's a worse mess at the very end of the movie. And I want to see that version. I want to see the super hot mess, destroyed, pressurized Godzilla in figure form. So Tamashii, get on that. I will totally buy that. So yeah, give us all of that stuff, and I will be very, very happy there. But a little guy would be absolutely excellent. As far as, you know, other companies, we already just saw Super 7 reveal their Godzilla Minus One. A pretty big surprise, I want to say. But that pretty big surprise makes me think that that license is for Godzilla Minus One is floating around. So there will be a Super 7 sized Godzilla Minus One. Here's Byline. That's the only figure I have near me. This is as much of a one taker as it's going to get. I've done so much work with Godzilla Minus One already. But Super 7, we're going to lead off the Ultra Z News tomorrow talking about that figure. You might have been like, I'm surprised you didn't do a breaking news. I would have, but I had stuff going on. When it was announced, I had to go to teach my class that night. I already had the Pacific Rim stuff loaded up, and then I had to go right into this review. So I really couldn't do anything, but I'm very excited about it. We're going to talk about that in full coming up. So do stay tuned for that. Then, you know, the thing on everybody's mind, will Hiya Toys do something with the line, with the license? Is there, you know, again, if Super 7 is doing something, is Hiya Toys going to do something as a, you know, the third articulated Godzilla figure line? I want to say I have to guess yes. If it's something that's available, I have to guess that everybody's going to take advantage of it and do something with it. So, you know, for those that, and I've heard so many folks saying, I'm going to just wait for the Hiya. That's fine. Go for it. You know, like, no guarantee it's going to be good. You know, I know everybody loves it. And I'm not, you know, people think that I have something against, you know, them doing good. And I don't, you know, I want them to do good. I want more choices, you know, but to say every figure they've done is perfect, you know, I can't go with that either, because I don't feel that, you know, like I haven't liked a few of their figures, you know, so I can't do anything about that, right? But I would guess they would be on board. Now, here's an interesting one. How about Mezco? We haven't talked about that too much, right? You know, is it possible that they do something? Because I saw somebody do an unboxing of their gigantic Godzilla. That's finally, Heisei Godzilla. That's finally out. Shocked. It finally came out. I am not getting that figure. $450 was a lot. I debated it when it came out. I probably should have jumped on it at that point. I was a little better off when that went up for pre-order years ago. But unfortunately, it never happened. Now, they also have they have the 5 points line that possible something is in, but I can't see it because, you know, what else would you put in it unless you're doing ships? There's a lot of cool ships and stuff in the movie. But what about, you know, that new, what's it called? Kaiju Collective line that, you know, we're a ways away probably from that even happening, because I haven't heard anything about that in a bit, but possible, I guess. Then there's X Plus. I don't really have an X Plus handy. Can I have an X Plus handy? Oh, how about a D for real? I have. Oh, D for real. That's something to talk about. X Plus figure. You know, that's a possibility for sure. Not even a possibility. That's a definite. They will be an X Plus. So if you're wondering, will there be an X Plus figure? I could almost guarantee you there will be an X Plus figure, in both the D for real size and their normal standard sizes. You know, whether it's a 25 centimeter or a 30 centimeter, you're gonna get plenty Godzilla Minus One from X Plus. If that's your jam, you know, wait for that. There's also Mezco. They have a line of more like X Plus type figures. Art Spirits is still doing stuff, so there is plenty of companies that could possibly give us more figures from Godzilla Minus One, for sure. I mean, Movie Monster Series is still doing stuff. I've yet to get that myself, but I do plan on doing so. But yeah, you know, plenty to come for figures of Godzilla Minus One. Don't you worry. But the movie itself, I loved it. I loved it the first time. I loved it the second time. I thought it was fantastic. There's a lot about it that's exactly like Shin Godzilla. It follows the same type of story, you know, like structure, in a way. So that's very interesting. I thought that the first time. There's some things that you have to, despite it being a very serious story, that you have to, you know, suspend your belief about. I'm not going to get into super specifics, but there's a few things that will maybe go, huh, really? But at the end of the day, I really don't care. I really liked it. I thought the final battle is incredible. I love the ideas behind it. I thought the execution was fantastic. Again, I love the Shinden plane. I thought that was really, really cool. I love the idea of regular people versus Godzilla. I thought it was amazing. I love that, you know, I'm always into that. I always love, like, in the Spider-Man movies, the first ones, you know, you mess with one of us, you mess with all of us type mentality. It's just my jam. You know, it's just my jam. And I thought this movie did it very, very well. I thought the resolution to Godzilla, you know, and I'll keep it vague. You know, I said spoilers, but I don't want to spoil it too much, just in case people are still here that haven't seen it. You know, like, I thought it was really, really cool, but at the very, very end, you know, it's a little bittersweet. You know, I felt like the final two reveals of the movie were probably not necessary. After all that, you could let it end with a little bit more hope. And I don't hate it. You know, I love the movie, but that was the only thing I was just like, you know, it would have been even better to me if it ended with a little more, you know, maybe if you cut out the second to last thing and then end it with the final image, I'm fine. But, you know, a little bit more. Give me a little bit more hope. And I would have been happy. But the characters were great. I love the team. I thought it was fantastic. The music, whenever you hear the Godzilla March, you know, a big smile comes, you know, on my face. It was just fantastic. Fantastic movie, guys. Really loved it. Again, if you haven't seen it, please go see it. It's so good. Where does it rank on my best all-time favorite Godzilla movies? I'm not 100% sure. I don't know. I've never been good with doing that. I liked them more than Shin Godzilla. I liked them more than Godzilla 54. Got more than Godzilla 84. So as far as the origin movies of Godzilla, the Japanese ones, I like them more than all of those. So there's that. All right, I'm gonna end it here. Oh my God, this video is 23 minutes plus already. Actually, it's 24 minutes plus because I forgot I filmed an opening too. All right, well, we're done. Okay, that's, you know, more thoughts about the figure, some thoughts about the movie. I know some folks wanted to know what I thought about the movie and give like a mini review. Fantastic, it's awesome, really, really great. I'm probably done seeing it in the theater, but I'm looking forward to seeing it once again once it hits home video. Till next time, peace out, peeps.